Every single Sunday, millions of us tune in to watch the stars. We watch the incredible catches, the bone-crushing tackles, the game-winning drives. But what if I told you that the decisions that actually make or break a modern football dynasty aren't made on the turf at all? They aren't made on game day. They are made in the quiet, tension-filled, highly secretive war rooms of the front office. We're talking about a world where every single dollar is scrutinized to the absolute breaking point, where every single contract structure is a calculated gamble, and where one tiny, seemingly insignificant risk carries the crushing weight of an entire franchise's future. Today, we're diving deep into the very DNA of a modern football team. This is an explainer that is going to completely change how you view team building in the National Football League. We are peeling back the curtain on the Seattle Seahawks to see exactly how the absolute smallest, most hidden financial margins directly dictate the fate of their biggest, most untouchable superstars. Everything changed in a matter of seconds. I really want you to think about that phrase for a moment. Just think about the reality of it. One signature on a piece of paper, sitting on a desk in a completely different city across the country, and suddenly a franchise's entire multi-year blueprint is thrown into absolute unmitigated chaos. That right there is the brutal, unforgiving reality of the NFL salary cap. Look, the salary cap has absolutely exploded in recent years, right? And it has completely altered how front offices have to evaluate talent. You can sit there and plan for years. You can draft perfectly, hitting on all your picks. You can construct a meticulously balanced, beautiful roster on paper. But the moment the market shifts in Kansas City or Philadelphia, a massive, unstoppable ripple effect tears through the rest of the league. You are forced to adapt immediately, or you are literally left behind to just watch your championship window slam shut forever. And right now, today, the Seattle Seahawks are staring down a financial tidal wave that could change everything. Part 1. A franchise-altering decision. The storm clouds are rapidly gathering over the Pacific Northwest, and at the absolute center of this brewing financial hurricane stands one man, Devon Witherspoon. He's 25 years old. He is a superstar in every conceivable sense of the word, and his impending megadeal is the very first domino that will absolutely dictate the entire future of this organization. Now, the sheer scale of the financial pressure being applied here is honestly suffocating. Trent McDuffie just completely shattered the cornerback market. He signed a deal for $31 million a year. Let that sink in, $31 million. That is a staggering, almost incomprehensible sum for a defensive back, effectively resetting the floor for elite players at that position. But here is the genuinely terrifying part if you're sitting in the Seattle front office. Devon Witherspoon's contract is entirely unresolved. He is, by any reasonable metric you want to use, arguably a more valuable, more transformative, and more disruptive player than McDuffie. So, if the market floor has just been set at $31 million, that means Witherspoon's camp isn't just looking to politely meet that number. No way. They are looking to absolutely eclipse it. We could very realistically be talking about a demand of $35 million a year for one single defensive player. That kind of money doesn't just put a dent in your budget, it consumes a massive, paralyzing percentage of your total cap space. And right now, the two sides aren't even close to a new deal. You have to understand why Witherspoon holds literally all the leverage in these negotiations. It's because he isn't just a traditional cover corner, he is the absolute roaring engine of Mike Macdonald's entire defensive philosophy. This guy is an elite tackler in open space. He single-handedly erases structural mistakes that would otherwise turn into back-breaking touchdowns for the opposing team. He's totally dominant in run support, constantly crashing down into the box with the pure violence and physical presence of a middle linebacker. On top of that, he is a lethal blitzer, fully capable of single-handedly destroying a veteran quarterback's internal clock and forcing catastrophic game-ending turnovers. And maybe most importantly, his unmatched inside and outside versatility means opposing offensive coordinators can never, ever simply scheme away from him. If he lines up in the slot, he completely shuts down the middle of the field. If he moves out to the boundary, he entirely erases your number one receiver. He is everywhere, all at once. He feels seemingly untouchable. If you lose him, you don't just lose a really good player, you lose the very identity and soul of your defense. But, and this is a massive, massive but, what if General Manager John Schneider actually does the unthinkable? Look, Schneider is a man who is downright notorious for shocking the league. He does not operate with fear. He operates with an unsentimental, cold-blooded ruthlessness when the financial math no longer perfectly aligns with his long-term vision. We literally watched him engineer the monumental Jamal Adams trade. We watched him ship out a beloved franchise icon in Russell Wilson the exact moment he felt the player's value had peaked. He is an absolute master of the out-of-nowhere blockbuster veteran trade. So you have to ask yourself, could he actually look at a terrifying $35 million price tag, coldly calculate the immense damage it would do to the overall depth of his roster, and make the shocking decision to move his absolute best defensive player?
Because let's be real, the potential return for a player of Witherspoon's rare caliber is nothing short of a king's ransom. Imagine a desperate team picking up the phone, a team like the Washington Commanders, coached by Dan Quinn, a guy who knows exactly what an elite Seattle defense is supposed to look like. The Commanders possess ample cap space and are desperately searching for that singular franchise-defining defensive cornerstone to legitimize their entire rebuild. A blockbuster trade with a team like that could easily yield a 2027 first-round pick, plus a 2028 first-round pick, plus a young, high-upside cornerback currently on a cheap rookie contract like Trey Amos to come in and immediately plug the glaring gap in the secondary. To the casual observer sitting at home, it sounds like absolute madness to voluntarily trade away a generational prime-age talent like Devon Witherspoon. But when you slowly break down this kind of massive draft haul, you really start to see the echoes of that historic Russell Wilson coup all over again. You secure the long-term future of the franchise. You massively replenish your draft war chest. But most importantly, you completely reset the financial clock, prying open a brand new championship window that is heavily built on cheap, elite young talent rather than aging, expensive mega deals. But that brings us to the ultimate terrifying question. How do you survive without a superstar? If you just completely rip the engine out of the car, how is it supposed to still run? You can't just magically replace Devon Witherspoon's immediate, game-wrecking production with future draft picks that won't even step onto an NFL field for another 2 or 3 full years. Draft capital is great for the future, sure, but it absolutely does not help you win a grueling, bloody divisional matchup this Sunday. To actually answer the question of immediate survival, we have to look entirely away from the blockbuster headlines, the trade rumors, and the massive headline-grabbing contracts. We have to look down, deep down into the absolute gritty, microscopic trenches of team building. Part 2. The silent game changer. 49. I want you to let that number truly, deeply sink in for a moment. Just 49. This isn't a jersey number. This isn't a snap count. This is Michael Dixon's elite punting average over the last 3 consecutive seasons. 49 yards of pure, unadulterated, field-flipping power every single time his foot touches the football. Now, achieving that kind of ridiculous number in a controlled, climate-controlled dome is one thing. Doing it consistently in the bitter cold, the swirling, unpredictable winds, and the driving sideways rain of Seattle, well, that is a literal marvel of physics and endless repetition. You have to realize that Dixon is not just kicking a football out there, he is wielding a psychological weapon. His towering, majestic hang time completely suffocates opposing offenses. It forces fair catches and entirely eliminates the possibility of dangerous return yardage. Just look at last season alone. He dropped 20 separate punts inside the 20-yard line with pinpoint, absolute surgical precision. Imagine being an opposing quarterback. Let's say you're Matthew Stafford of the Rams. You haven't even taken a single snap yet. Your offense is already hopelessly backed up against your own goal line, and 70,000 Seattle fans are screaming at a deafening, stadium-shaking pitch. It is an offensive coordinator's absolute worst nightmare. That is exactly what Michael Dixon does. He violently tilts the field in Seattle's favor. He sets the perfect stage for the dark side defense to pin their ears back and just hunt the quarterback. He artificially creates immense environmental tension before the play clock even officially starts. And the front office knows exactly how incredibly valuable this invisible, game-altering impact truly is. $16.2 million. That is the massive, precedent-setting 5-year contract that makes Michael Dixon the highest-paid punter in the entire National Football League. Now, in a league that is utterly obsessed with paying premium, top-tier dollars for edge rushers, left tackles, and flashy wide receivers, John Schneider looked at his master spreadsheet and made a very, very specific calculation. He decided that investing unprecedented money into a punter wasn't a luxury. It was an absolute necessity for the survival of his defensive scheme. The structure of this deal guarantees that Seattle will consistently win the hidden yardage battle week in and week out, taking massive amounts of pressure off the rest of the roster. The man is quite literally chasing history right before our eyes. Averaging 48.3 career yards per punt, Dixon is rapidly closing in on Joe Ryan's all-time franchise record. But here's the reality check. Paying a punter $16 million is still a highly calculated luxury, and in a strict, unforgiving salary cap league, every single financial action has an equal and opposite reaction. The salary cap is a pure zero-sum game. The money has to come from somewhere. If you are paying top dollar for your punter and you are simultaneously desperately trying to find $35 million for your superstar cornerback, where does the money actually come from? It requires intense, brutal, unapologetic penny pinching at the very bottom of the roster. Every dollar given to a star is a dollar taken from a rookie. Part 3. The hidden UDFA blueprint.
This brings us to the absolute margins. We are zooming all the way in on the smallest, most granular details of the Seahawks cap management. Because this right here, this is where the real high-stakes game of multi-million-dollar chess is played between rival front offices. Let's quickly define the battlefield we're looking at. UDFA guarantees. These are the specific signing bonuses and base salary guarantees offered by teams to aggressively recruit priority undrafted free agents the very moment the 7th round of the NFL draft concludes. Now, standard UDFA contracts are fixed by the collective bargaining agreement. They are all exactly the same. They are all worth exactly $3.1 million spread over 3 years. Every single team in the league offers the exact same base contract. So think about it. How do you possibly convince a highly coveted, super talented rookie to sign with Seattle instead of flying off to San Francisco or Kansas City? You can't change the contract value, so you do it through the guarantees. You have to literally show them the money up front. But here is the catch, and man, it is a massive one: $200,000. That is the incredibly strict, league-mandated hard cap limit that an entire team has to spend on UDFA signing bonuses for the 2026 season. Just $200,000. Think about the utter absurdity of this for a second. We are talking about multi-billion-dollar organizations owned by literally some of the wealthiest people on the planet, fiercely squabbling over a tiny pool of money that barely even covers a veteran backup quarterback's weekly game check. But that is the ironclad law of the NFL. Front offices have to take that tiny, microscopic pool of money and magically stretch it across an entire incoming class of desperate, hungry rookies trying to make the team. This is exactly where front office masterclasses are taught. The team only has $200,000 total in signing bonuses to hand out to everyone. So when they target a priority edge rusher like Aiden Hubbard, they have to be incredibly, almost surgically strategic. They only offer him $20,000 as an official signing bonus, which perfectly preserves their limited league-mandated pool for other players. But look closely, his total guaranteed number mysteriously jumps to out over $267,000. How in the world do you give a player over $250,000 in pure guarantees when your entire team's signing bonus pool is capped at $200,000? By aggressively guaranteeing his base salary. The front office legally circumvents the signing bonus limit by guaranteeing his actual future weekly game checks. This brilliantly signals to Hubbard that he is a massive, unquestionable priority for them. They essentially promised him a full year's practice squad salary before he even put on a helmet, just to win his commitment over the other 31 teams desperately calling his agent. Now, I want you to juxtapose that massive guarantee with the rest of the undrafted class. Aiden Hubbard walks into the Seattle facility on day one, fully knowing he has nearly $270,000 completely, legally guaranteed to him, regardless of whether he even makes the final 53-man roster. He has security. Meanwhile, receivers Rashad Rochelle and Trayvon Rudolph sign their contracts for exactly $0 guaranteed. Zero. Not a single solitary cent is promised to them if they get cut tomorrow. This stark, almost painful contrast perfectly illustrates the brutal, intensely calculated reality of NFL economics. Every single dollar is a deliberate, agonizing choice. The front office extensively evaluated Hubbard and saw a potential rotational edge rusher they desperately needed for their defense to function. They looked at Rochelle and Rudolph and essentially said, "You can come to training camp, you can wear the Seahawks uniform, but you have to earn every single meal you eat." The psychological toll of playing professional football on a $0 guarantee is immense. It is a ruthless, totally unforgiving meritocracy where the margins dictate your literal livelihood. Part 4. The future of the franchise. So, after going through all of this, how do these seemingly isolated, totally unconnected pieces build the larger picture? We have to finally weave these 3 distinct threads back together. Because, as you've seen, in the National Football League, absolutely nothing happens in a vacuum. Everything causes a reaction, from $31 million cornerbacks to $16 million punters, all the way down to brutal $0 guarantees for undrafted rookies just fighting for their football lives. Everything is inextricably connected. The money you save by being ruthless and signing Trayvon Rudolph for $0 allows you to strategically guarantee Aiden Hubbard's base salary. Finding a cheap, highly impactful rotational edge rusher like Hubbard allows you to justify investing heavily in the hidden field position dominance of a punter like Michael Dickson. And relying on Dickson to consistently pin explosive offenses deep in their own territory, well, that might just give the front office the exact confidence they need to actually trade away a generational superstar, fully knowing their defense is already playing with a massive geometric advantage on the field. Navigating these absolute, razor-thin margins directly dictates whether this front office can actually afford to keep Devon Witherspoon, which finally leaves us staring out at the horizon, waiting with bated breath for the first massive domino to fall. Will John Schneider roll the dice on a historic, totally franchise-altering trade to completely reset his financial timeline? Or will he break the bank, absorb the monumental cap hit, and pay the absolute cornerstone of his defense whatever he demands? The mathematical margins are incredibly unforgiving. The tension building right now in that front office is real, and it is palpable. And the decision they ultimately make will entirely shape the trajectory of the Seattle Seahawks for the next half-decade. Look, this level of uncompromising detail, diving this deep into the absolute margins of roster construction and the unseen realities of salary cap warfare, is exactly what we do here. Welcome to NFL Nexus. If you loved this explainer and you truly want to stay one step ahead of every single front office move in the league, you need to subscribe to the channel right now. Make sure you like this explainer so we know you want more of these intense, cinematic deep dives. And please, comment your thoughts below. Seriously, do you trade Devon Witherspoon for a massive draft haul, or do you pay him whatever he asks? Let me know what you would do. And if you truly want to take your football knowledge to the absolute next level, support us by becoming a channel member. Thank you so much to the diehard fans for going deep into the trenches with us today. We'll see you on the next one.